Hey, I'm Steve Krentz for Guitar Gathering, and welcome to this special lesson on this iconic song by the Beatles, Yesterday. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, this is the most recorded song of all time. Of all time. Not only did the Beatles do it, but Elvis Presley did it, Boyz II Men did it, Frank Sinatra did it. Everybody has covered this song. BMI, the music licensing agency, listed it as number 3 of their top 100 songs of the century. So I'm so glad that we can learn it today. Hey, there's a PDF that goes along with this lesson, so make sure and take a second to download that and have that out in front of you, so when we go through it, you can follow along with us. All right, so let's take a look at it. Take a look at the first page, and let's talk about this song just in general. The biggest thing that you need to know about this song, it's sounding in the key of F, okay? But Paul McCartney is actually playing it in the key of G, but he's playing it on a guitar that is tuned down a whole step, 2 half steps. So instead of the 6th string being an E, it's down at a D. Instead of the high E, it is down at a D. The 2nd string would be not a B, but it would be an A. So everything is tuned down a whole step, or 2 half steps. So as he's playing it in G, it's sounding in F. So in order to play along with the backing track that we have, we're going to play it in the key of F to play along with the backing track, but I'm going to teach it to you in both. I'm going to teach it to you in F, how it sounds, and G, how it's actually played. So it's, if you think about it, it's kind of the reverse of what a capo is doing. Capo kind of brings the pitch up from a standard pitch. Tuning a guitar down, which you see much less frequently, is another way to lower the pitch. So he's playing it in G, but it's sounding in F. All right, that's the first thing to look at it. Other than that, it's in 4/4 time. The tempo on the recording is 98 beats per minute. You have a 2-bar introduction of this little sort of a pattern, which we'll talk about here in a second. Then you have a 7-measure verse. Again, odd, it should be more typically 8, but this is 7 measures. But then again, Here Comes the Sun had 7-measure phrases as well. So it's not a completely unusual thing for Beatles songs. After that verse, which they do twice, then you have a bridge, which is 8 measures long. Then you go back and you do the verse and the bridge one more time, and then the verse for a 3rd time, and then you take a little tag, which is the last 2 bars of the verse, and you do a little 2-bar tag, and then you're out of it. All in all, it's about a 2-minute song. Now, the play-along track that we're using is a YouTube track. I put the link in the description there, so you have the link, and it is playing it at the original tempo that was recorded by the Beatles, which is 98 beats per minute. Always remember, you can slow that down by hitting the gear icon in the lower right-hand side of the screen of the YouTube screen. So there you go. How the click goes on the play-along track is you're going to hear click, 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 and then it goes into the intro, the little. So I have it written out there on the bottom of page 1. All right, hey, let's get into the song now. Flip over, take a look at page 2, and we're going to learn it in the key of F, the key that it sounds in, so you can play along with the track. Okay, now first thing we're going to do is we're going to let me talk to you about the intro and what's happening there, because we have some different notational things. You'll notice I've got a note, and then I've got 3 slashes. Well, what's going on there? Well, when Paul McCartney does this song, and I watched many different versions of him doing this live, remember, he's actually playing it in G, but it's sounding in F. For our purposes now, he's hitting the lowest tone, lowest note of the chord, and then he's hitting the top 2 or 3 strings. Lowest note of the chord, and then the top 2 or 3 strings. Now, he's not using a flat pick when he does this song. What he's using is kind of a hybrid picking of finger style and then kind of strumming with his finger. So you'll see him do this, where he's hitting with his first or second and third finger, hitting the top 2 strings. Or you'll also see him do this, where he's flicking the first finger, or even maybe a middle finger, or maybe the second and third finger. But he's just kind of doing a relaxed thing. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. It's just simple. Or if you wanted to do it with the finger style. All right, so that's what's happening with the intro there. All right, let's take a look at the verse. So I'm going to be playing with a flat pick here just to bring it out a little bit. We are in the open position, and so it starts off with a G. Now remember, as it's sounding, it's playing in the key of F, which has a B flat in it. So remember, there's B flats here. So right after, then the next measure, we start on the second finger, A, C sharp, second finger, D natural, E, F, E, D, D. So right out of the gate, we have a B natural when it should have been a B flat, and a C sharp. What's happening there? Okay, let me just dive, we're going to dive deep into theory for about 5 seconds. Okay, we have relative majors. We're in the key of F, and every major key has a minor side to it too. So the key of D minor and the key of F major are the same, share the same key signature. So for every major, you have a minor. That's a relationship, F major, D minor. Now, so in a D minor, the scale for a D minor going up to it, starting on the A, would be A, B, C sharp. That's where that A, B, C sharp, D. And it leads right into the D minor there in the third bar of the verse. So that's what's going on there. It's a scale that's going up to get to the D minor. Okay, if you want to think about it, it would be a D melodic minor scale if you want to think of it that way. All right, so that's the second measure. And then we stay on that D, B flat here with your third finger. B flat because of the key signature, third finger, second finger, open, open, third, second, second. Then that would repeat. Then we go to the next page, page 3, top of the page. We're doing a bridge. We stay on that second finger, A, and then D, third finger, open E, F, E, D, E, D, C, D, A. Nothing complicated about this at all. And then it does those same 3 measures right again. This is just exactly what it did before. But this time, instead of going down, it goes up. E, and then an F, C, B flat, A, and then it does the verse again. Okay? And when it gets to the end of that verse, it repeats back to the bridge, okay? And then it does the bridge and the verse again, and then it ends up at the end with the last 2 measures, little tag, last 2 measures of the verse again. Pretty straightforward with all of that. All right, so we're going to turn on the track and we're going to play with the track. I'm not even going to get to the chords just yet, because, well, maybe I should before we do that. Let me just talk you through the chords. You're not going to be doing these chords very, very often in this key, so that's why I was hesitant to do them. You're probably going to be playing the melody if you're doing this, but let me just show them to you. You got an F, E minor. These are all standard open chords. D minor, there in the third measure of the verse, then a B flat, C7, F, D minor, G7, B flat, F. Going to the bridge, E minor, A7, D, C, B flat, F with an A in the bass, G minor, C7, F, and then that does that again, and then we do the verse and we're out of there. So I might play the melody one time through, and then I might play slip over and do the chords, the chord accompaniment. Now, don't worry too much about it, because we're gonna talk about that accompaniment here in just a minute. All right, so here we go. Let's play this with a track and learn this melody in F. play the chords. And there you go. That's the melody in F. Flip the page. All right, so let's learn the melody in G. So if you want to play it with the track, you play the melody in F. If you want to play it like he actually played it and the voicings he was using, that's what we're going to learn right now. Look at page 4. This is the melody and chords in the key of G, which is the key he actually played it in. All right, so now we're dealing with the forms that he's actually using. After looking at him doing it in live concerts and things like that over the years, I watched him doing it in 1978. I watched him doing it in 2005 or something. These are the shapes he uses for that G. Second finger on the top of the G. Now he's got his first finger here, but he doesn't play it. You're not even playing that note. So you're just playing the top 3. And then we go, let's look at the melody first. This is the third measure. So if I'm playing it in G, it would be second finger, and then up this E melodic minor scale. Okay, what is that? B, C sharp, second finger, D sharp, fourth finger, open E, F sharp, G, F sharp. Remember, we're in the key of G. We've got F sharps in the key signature. And then and that's the verse. Let's look at the chords in the verse. So what he's doing is F sharp minor. Now I'm playing it like this. How he actually plays it is with his thumb over the top, doing this sort of a shape, but I don't quite have enough dexterity, never have had that, so I just play a regular bar. Then he's using this B7, E minor, a little passing tone there, a little D there going down to that C. D7, G, back with the second finger on the lowest note, a little passing tone F sharp here. A7, C, G, G. All right, let's take a look at the bridge. We're going to do the bridge melody first. Starts in the open B, and then right up the scale again. E, F sharp, second finger. Remember, the fingering notations are done in the circled notes, the circled numbers there. This is all the same that it just did. Second finger, third finger G, third finger D, C, B, and then we do the verse just like we did before. The chords are going to be F sharp minor, B7. Now here, he doesn't do a full E minor, he just does the bottom half of it, or the top half of it, starting on the E and then the open 3 strings. C, then he continues walking down here, G with a B in the bass, D7, F sharp. Here's this walk down. This is probably the toughest part of the whole song, chord-wise. And then you're back into the verse, and the last 2 bars are the little tag. You'll also see, notice on that little tag there, in the last 2 bars, you'll see R-I-T, okay? That is Italian. That it means ritardando, which means slow down. So you'll notice those last 2 bars, we get to the... And we do this slow down there. That's a musical way of notating. A slowing down is retardando, and then they shorten that to be R-I-T, retard. Okay, so that is Yesterday, the melody and the chords in G. So if you want to play it, actually let's not play it, because let's flip on to the accompaniment pattern, because that's what we'll probably play along with. All right, so look at the accompaniment pattern. This is page 6. All right, let's get into what's going on here. On the recording, you have the acoustic guitar that Paul McCartney is playing there, and then it is joined by a string quartet at the end. There's also a bass that's in there as well. A lot of folks don't realize that. There's a bass that's kind of doubling the acoustic guitar line that is going down there. All right, so let's take a look at this page 6 accompaniment pattern. And here's the deal. Remember what we talked about. He's hitting the lowest note, and then some sort of a combination of picking up, or maybe with his strumming with his fingers, or you can do it with a pick, I don't care. But the idea is you hit the bass note of whatever the bass note is for the chord, and then the upper 3 strums. Okay, boom, gla, 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 boom, gla, gla. That's the whole song, is that accompaniment pattern, and it works so well. These are the actual voicings that he's using. So here's the intro. All right, that's the accompaniment pattern that he's using. Same accompaniment pattern we did before, but I'm just doing the G, the lowest tone in the first chord. It would be a G, boom, and then the upper 3 strums. Now, you've got a couple of walk downs here. If you look at the second line, the verse, the 3rd measure over there, you have this. So I gave you the bass lines there, and then you just keep playing the top 3 strings just like you were doing before. C. So whatever the chord is, I'm playing the bass note, and then the top 3 of that chord. Here's another little walk down here, 3rd line, 1st measure. You can play the continue on the G. This is where it breaks. You have the C for 1 beat, and then the 2 Gs. And then back into it. To the bridge. A little bit of a walk down here. C, G with a B, A, and then we're back off after that. That's the accompaniment pattern that Paul McCartney uses there. Now remember, he's on a guitar that's tuned down a whole step, so it's going to sound a little bit different. But there you go. If you want to know the exact arrangement of what he's doing, that's the chords right there. All right, hey, flip over the page. So we've learned the melody now. We've learned the accompaniment pattern. We've learned the chords in 2 different keys. Now let's get to the solo arrangements. All right, so let's play. I'm going to play this basic solo arrangement first. I put it back in the original key of F. And this is a basic, simple, very accessible arrangement. You can play this fingerstyle. You can do this with a pick. So just to show you it can be done with a pick, I'm going to go ahead and play it with a pick. And let me play it first, and then I'll explain to you talk you through it. Here we go. I also put it a little bit slower. We were at 98 on the original recording. I'm going to slow this one down here. So we're going to be at about 70 here. All right, now let's take a look at this arrangement and see what's going on. We're in the key of F, so we've got B flats in it. I start you out on that figure, bass note, then the top 3 strings. And then look at this in the last measure of the first line. You notice how you have the F and the G, but they're kind of offset from each other. How does that work? Well, what's going on there? Well, I can't have an F and a G, notes that are just one step apart, right on top of each other. It just kind of looks like a blob on the screen. So how we notate that in music is one of them gets offset. So you're going to see that from time to time. Not doesn't happen very often, but occasionally you're going to see that where certain notes are offset from each other. Oh, as you look through it, it happens again. And look at the next line down, the last measure. You'll notice about the 3rd beat in, you've got these offset notes. Now, here's the deal. They look offset on the music, but if you look in the tab, they are played at the same time. Okay, so it's not like a grace note or something like that. They're played at the same time. It's just in order to notate it and have it without the notes looking all squished together on top of each other, they have to put one of them off to the side. So that's, when you see that, don't freak out. That's what's going on there. All right, so let's just talk about the form. We've got 2 bars of an intro. Then I take you through the verse, which is repeated. Goes down the bottom of the page, then it goes back up to the top. Then we go over to the bridge on the next page. We go to the end of the second line there, and you'll see at the end of the second line in measure 17, it says DS al coda, DS dal segno al coda, dal go to segno, the sign. We get our word sign from that, and the sign is that funky looking thing in the 3rd measure that is a slash with 2 dots and a big kind of kind of a big ass big cursive S looking thing there. That's the sign. Okay, so at the end of the second line of the bridge, where it says DS Al coda, we jump back to where we see that crazy sign there in the third bar, and we read this again. Now, until it says DS Al, which means until coda, until the coda. Coda is the little crosshairs circle looking thing. And if you'll notice at the bottom of page 8, you'll see that at the end of that last measure there, measure 9, you'll see this little crosshairs looking thing. That's the coda sign. So at that point, we jump to where we see the coda sign again, which is at the bottom of page 9 at the ending. So there you go. That's where the coda sign, and we'd play those last 2 bars too. Now, you'll notice that I don't have all of the verses and bridges because it repeats that verse and bridge again in there, but if you can, and you're welcome to do it. I just didn't want to notate that all here to keep it on a concise page. Now, you're mainly in the open position playing this arrangement, but occasionally you're going to slip up to the third position, and I notated that when those come around. All right, so let's get into it. I have the intro and third finger and open. Play them both at the same time. And then just a little walking line here. Remember, you get extra points if you can let everything ring, as much ring out as possible. Then I go to kind of an E minor sort of a shape. You can play this with your second finger and third finger, or your third finger and fourth. Either way, it works. An A7, just going down to the second string. Now, if you can do this, and remember, it's kind of like a D minor shape, but you're going to use your fourth finger here. Why do I want to use my fourth finger there? So that I can do this walking bass line while that D is still holding. If I do it with my third finger, then I've got to cut it off in order to get that C. So that's why I put that little 4 there. You can do whatever's comfortable for you on that high D, whether it's a third finger or fourth finger, but that's why I chose fourth. That way the third finger can hit that C. Now we go to the next measure. Remember, it's B flat, first finger, and then third finger is going to jump down to the third string and hit the third and fourth with the B flat and D. Regular C7. Notice how they're offset, but they're played. If you look at the tab, they're all played together. Your pinky's already on that B flat. Second finger comes down to the A. Now, let me just point out something to you right there in measure 7. You're going to see this. Notice how the F is a half note, but the notes above it are a quarter and 2/8. So what I'm trying to tell you to do is to hang on to that F. So don't go. Hang on to the F. So while these other things are moving, this F is holding. E and a D. Now here I jump up to the third position, and I catch the D and the F here with my third finger on the D, first finger on the F. I got to reach back for the first finger to catch that A. And then I'm back in the open position here. B natural, second finger. B flat and F. So you notice how accidentals work. You'll see that the natural sign, he's good for just the end of the measure, and then it goes back to a what it was in the key signature, the B flat. That's the verse. The bridge, next page, I kind of have an E suspended going down to the third string there. Just walking right down those notes of the chord. An A, kind of just walking down those notes of the chord. Then I have a D minor inversion. Third finger, second finger on the A, pinky on the D. Little triads, these little triads here. I jump up to the third position here, and I catch the G with my third finger, first finger on the B flat, D with my, or the pinky on that high E, and I bar my first finger to catch that D, then back in the open position, 2, 3, and 1 there, catch the D with my pinky. That's probably the trickiest move in the whole song. This is all the same. third position, open E, F. Now, I know you're going to be tempted to go. Can you hold it? So that F keeps ringing through all of that. You get extra points if you do. DS, we would go back to the verse there, and we would play this all again till we get to the bottom of the first page there, page 8. We see the coda sign, then we jump to the measure 9, third position. And there you go. The basic arrangement of that. Very accessible. That shouldn't be too stressful for you. All right, flip the page. I got one more arrangement I wanted to get into you. One more arrangement. Here is the advanced solo guitar arrangement. So let's take a look at this. Now, this one I got a little bit creative on. So we're on page 10 there. I play it back in the key of G. And so I'm going to do this one all finger style. Now, this one has a kind of a 16th note rhythmic pattern that's going along with it. So you'll hear that rhythmic pattern going on underneath it. So it's not exactly a true representation of the way Paul McCartney played it. It's a fingerstyle arrangement of it. All right, so let me play it for you to get us started. All right, let's take a look at this beautiful arrangement of Yesterday. You've got that underlying 16th note pattern. All right, let me just show you what's happening there. I tried to outline it there in the first measure. So you have, of course, the finger numbers with the circled letters, or circled numbers, but you also notice you'll have these T's and twos and things, what's happening here. All right, this is a common picking pattern. We talked about it on live lessons a month or two ago, kind of a speed picking pattern. And so I'm going to go between thumb and my second finger. Remember on guitar, it's thumb, 1, 2, 3. It's thumb and my second finger. So I'm going between these two. And look at the pattern. Thumb, and then thumb's going to go down and catch the fourth string. And then second's going to cover that high G. So all we have is... That's the first measure, or the first beat. The next beat is going to be thumb 2, with 2 covering the fourth string and then the high string. So if I play them both together, now I know that seems really confusing. I'm going to do it really slow one more time. Once you get it going, it starts rolling and you'll get it. So let's do it real slow a few times. We're just going to keep doing that pattern over and over. Ready, go. Thumb, thumb, 2, thumb, 2, thumb, 2, thumb, thumb, 2, thumb, 2, thumb, 2, thumb, thumb, Just keep doing it. Can you speed it up? A little bit faster. Start rolling, it starts to get to be a rolling pattern after a while. It may take you a few minutes to get it, may take you a day or two to get it. Once you get it, you're rocking. It's the same pattern, same pattern. It's a great little pattern to learn. All right, so we get started with that. I threw the high notes in there. Now, since I've got my second finger on this low G, I have to reach over with my first finger and catch the A. Then I do my pattern. I kind of have an F sharp minor 11th here. Now, oh my goodness, look at all those rhythms there. What is going on there? And we have offset notes here. What's going on there? It's a 16th note run, and then everything else is an upbeat. One, da, 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 da. So they're all upbeats. Now you have this one little C natural in there too. I hit the F sharp minor 11th. Pinky on the C sharp, slides up for the D sharp. Second finger, we're kind of getting into a diminished sort of a shape here. Open E, first finger bars down to catch that F sharp. And then second finger can catch that G. You get extra points if you can make that C ring out as long as possible. Next measure, I have, that's where I'm headed, but I'm going to get there by doing a little hammer on of my second and third finger. So I'm hitting, these are happening first, and then I hammer on the A and the F sharp. And then I threw a little lick in here. D, second finger E, slides up to the F sharp. Our little D sus, E minor 9th sort of a trick. With a little pull off there from the D to the B. So it creates a nice little line there. The C with my second finger. You can slide back up into that F sharp and D if you want to, second and third finger, second and first finger. Slide back down. And then instead of going to regular C to a G, I make it a C minor just to kind of make that bittersweet sort of a sound there. So I've got, how do I do that? I've got to bar my first finger there in measure 7. D with the F sharp, second finger on that low F sharp, E minor. Now, I know this is crazy, putting a pinky on that A right there. Why on earth would any human do that? Well, because of where I'm going, okay? I'm going to this lick. A, third finger on the B, sliding up to the C sharp, and then catching that high A barred to that E there. I'm going to that shape and I'm getting there. So with all that in mind, it was the only finger I could use that didn't cause problems. If I hit it with the A, with my first finger, I can't go back and do it. It was the only finger I could use that would keep the A hanging while I did the low A. At least for a little bit. So that's going to be tricky for you, but that's why I did that. And then here, I have a little C, D, G there in measure 9, but I'm going to do a little hammer-on pull-off. The extra trick is to not mute out that G while you're pulling off the D and E, which is tricky. And then I'm back to my pattern. Okay, and then it does all that again. Let's go to move on to the bridge, measure 10. I have an F sharp minor 11th shape. Don't worry about that crazy, all those rhythms right there. Just look, it's just 16th notes. Just look down the tab, it's just 16th notes. Now, this I thought a lot about, was this little run here. Because I wanted to resolve to that D sharp of the B7. So I have this F sharp, and then I'm going to hit my first finger. My third finger is going to lift, my first finger is going to catch that D sharp, but I still have, at that point I release my third finger, so I'm basically making a B7 with an F sharp in the bass. So you end up with it's notated out there exactly where the finger should go. That's going to take a few minutes to get the pattern of that down. And really make a lot of that E go into the D sharp to really get that suspended happening there. Sorry. E minor triad, a D6th, a C major 7th, C with the second finger on the C, first finger on the F sharp. So that whole little run is A minor, but I have this F sharp as the highest note, so I got to get my third finger to play that. D with an F sharp. Back to my pattern. Add a little A in there just to climb it up. Pull off that A, first finger. Then I do all this again. Now, just to make it different, this is 3/4 the way song. This is 3/4 the way through the song. This is where the climax would be, typically. That's why I'm doing something different here. Okay, so I have the E minor. Now, I'm not doing the D6th, but I'm just going to do the D and the F sharp with my third finger. I'm going to slide up to the A, and then back to the G. Grabbing the second finger on the C. A minor. Just like before. G. Little slide up to our magic chord there. And then back to the verse, back to the coda, and the coda just is just the last two bars of the verse. All right, I hope you have enjoyed learning yesterday. A great song. We've got it in F, we've got it in G. I gave you a basic arrangement and an advanced arrangement as well. Each one of them has a little bit different feel to it. If you're just starting, just work on the melody. Work on the melody, I would suggest, in F first. That way you can play along with the track. If the track's going too fast, you can always slow it down, hitting that little gear icon. Okay, then I would start practicing maybe the accompaniment pattern that we talked about in G and kind of get that underneath your fingers. Because really, if you're not playing with the accompaniment track, then it's fine to play it in G. The only time you'd want to play with the accompaniment track, play in F, is when you're playing with the accompaniment track. Every time else, it's played in G, it'd be easier for you. Then if you want to jump up to catch that first basic arrangement, that would be the next hurdle after that. If you want to go all the way and catch the top one, the advanced arrangement, that's there for you too. Keep up the great work. Don't get discouraged with it. Dig into it. You can learn some great things off these beautiful classic melodies. Hey, I'm Steve Krenz for Guitar Gathering. Keep up the great work, and we'll see you next time.